To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. And to be late is to be forgotten. We are here live now. This is Dre All Day. What we are talking about today. Today I actually got some stuff written down. And I'll tell you about that in a minute. Let me find what I'm looking for. As y'all come in, tell me your name and location. Jalen 2X, what's good? Everybody, as y'all come in, tell me your names and locations, and I will acknowledge you. Post a comment, tell me your name and location. What we're going to get into today, as soon as I find what I'm looking for, how they evaluate you. This is the conversation we're going to have here today. It's specifically for my freelancers, business owners, brand builders. Bo checking in from East Palo Alto, California. Man, it's clean out there. Shout out to Palo Alto, man. I've been out there. It is so clean in Palo Alto. When I say clean, I'm talking like literally clean. Like there's no trash in the streets. Shout out to Palo Alto, man. Althea 39. What's going on? Justice Eaglesworth from Willamette University shooting guard. Shout out to Justice Eagleworth, shooting guard from Willamette University. What level of college ball are you playing at, Justice? Because my man is coaching at, fuck is the name of the school? Western Oregon. So y'all might play each other if you're out there in Oregon, but you might be at a different level, so I don't know. Using my data in the car to watch, that's what's up. Shout out to everybody who doesn't have unlimited data on their phone. William, a.k.a. Leon, greetings from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I've never been to Brazil, so shout out to Brazil. Arvin said the regular from Toronto. Shout out to Toronto. Who else is in here? If you in here, tell me your name and location. We're going to get into it just in 1 minute at the D3. Okay, my man's coaching at a D2, so y'all probably don't play against each other. But what we're going to talk about here today, y'all do play them. All right, so I'm going to ask him if you any good. I'm going to see have y'all played against Western Oregon? If y'all did, I'm gonna call him and ask him if he remembers you, and he gonna give me the lowdown on your game. But he might not. I don't know. He might have to ask one of his assistants. I don't know if he was watching every player. But anyway, I don't know where Jeremy Lin is from. Lexi from Vegas, what's going on? What we talking about today? I'm gonna introduce myself and I'll tell you what we're talking about. My name is Dre Baldwin. For those who don't know me, I am a former 9-year professional basketball player. I'm the author of 25 books. I'm the creator of this whole philosophy that's called Work on Your Game. It is taking the pro athlete's mindset tools and applying them to business, sports, and life. And I do that through things like these live streams, through professional speaking, through coaching and consulting. I'm putting together a group coaching offer that'll probably will be ready this upcoming week that I was just working on before I started this live stream. What else do I do? Coaching, consulting, speaking. I said I'm the author of 25 books. I create content. I have over 7,000 YouTube videos, 6,000 blog posts, 1,400 podcast episodes. I've created more original content than anybody on this planet who you can name. There's nobody you can name who's created more original content than me. Not Gary Vee, not Shalene Johnson, not I don't name anybody. Nobody has created more original content than me. That's just a fact. Just finished reading your article about Grant Cardone and Russell Brunson. Yeah, I like that article. I wrote that article when I was on the plane coming back from Nashville. Drew checking in from Lehigh Valley, PA. Shout out to Lehigh University. I've been up there to Lehigh University, so shout out to Lehigh University. What else we got going on? All right, so we're going to get into this. Today what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is how they evaluate you. And this topic is specifically for the freelancers, business owners, brand builders who are out there. Any of you out there who is planning on putting your business out into the world, whatever it is you're offering. Meaning you have some value that you've created, you want to share it with an audience of people, and you need to understand how they are evaluating you. It's not just about what you think about your message, because I might think my message is amazing, and I might think this is incredible. If you would just follow what I say, you would get all the results that I'm telling you you're going to get. But if they're not getting the message, if they're not hearing it, it's not landing on their ears the way that you want it to land or the way that it's supposed to land, then they're not really going to get the value. You're not communicating the value. So you need to understand how you're being evaluated. And this, I'm going to tell you two things about this subject. Number one, y'all actually getting a preview of something that's going to come out on the Work on Your Game audio masterclass experience. Some of y'all call that a podcast. I don't call mine a podcast. I got an episode coming on that. But on the podcast, quote unquote, this is coming up. So I'm actually taking this topic and giving it to y'all here on this live. that other people are not going to get because they're not here on this live, or they might not see the video. And this is coming straight from, I was speaking at a conference a week ago, and outside of the room of the conference, there's a table where everybody registers and checks in. Like, you come to this conference, they swipe your registration badge so they know that you went to this particular session. And they have these evaluation forms. At some conferences, they don't do this at every event, but at some conferences, the really big conferences where it's like 100, 1,000 speakers and it's 20,000 people who come to the event, they have these evaluation forms outside of each room. And each speaker, it'll either be on the app or on a form, they'll ask you to do your evaluation of the presenter, what you thought of them. And this is the way that these big organizations gauge how good you are, whether you're good or not, whether they'll invite you to come back, whether, just if you are good or not. And the word spreads around. Word gets around in the industries whether you can perform or you can't. So what I'm going to talk about here today are the points that was on that evaluation form and my explanation of what each one of them is and how you can apply it. So understand that even if you are not a professional speaker, you don't plan on becoming one, you're not trying to be one, you don't need to be one to get value from what I'm about to share here today, because the stuff that I'm going to share here with you today, how many points do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Through these points, you're going to need this. I don't care if you want to do webinars, if you want to do group coaching, if you want to train people one-on-one, if you want to write a book, if you're going to be a YouTuber, you want to be an Instagrammer, any of these ways that you want to deliver your value to an audience of people, you need to follow this criteria that I'm going to lay out right here. And you need to understand not only what it is, but you need to understand why it matters. So let's get into it without any further ado. I already told you where it came from. Again, even if you're not a speaker, you need to understand this stuff. First point, the instructor's delivery skills. First point is your delivery skills. Understand something about delivery skills. That does not mean do you know what you're talking about. It means how do you get your point across to an audience? Because see, the thing is, I can say something that you 100% disagree with. You may not see eye to eye with everything that I say. And as much content as I put out there over the years, I guarantee if you took in enough of it, you're going to come across something that you don't agree with what I said. But one thing that I will 100% guarantee is that you understand what I said. You understand where I'm coming from. Even if you don't have the same perspective as me, even if we don't have the same point of view, you understand what I'm saying and understand why I'm saying it. Because I always explain to you, this is what I'm saying, this is the point that I'm making, this is the experience that I had that led me to making this point, and here's the supporting evidence, here's the supporting information. I believe this because this right here, this, and then I built my case for why I feel the way that I feel. I've had someone wrote me an email, this is probably about a year ago, and he said, I just remember this one. He was like, man, Dre, I don't always agree with everything you say, but one thing you do is you always build the case for the points that you're making. And that's the only thing you could really ask an audience. Like, everybody's not going to agree with everything you say. You talk often enough and for long enough, you're going to say something that people ain't feeling. But you should never confuse your audience. Your audience should never be confused as to what you're about and where you stand. One of the things that people said about, because I've taken a lot of information about people trying to build audiences, whether you want to be an influencer or build a tribe or have followers or whatever you want to call it, right? When they talk about presidential elections, and I talked about this on the Work on Your Game show on the podcast. They say that when you're speaking to the masses like that, you're trying to get elected president of the United States, you're talking to 300 million people. And how many of them vote? Probably about a third. So about 100 million people vote. Because the last election, what was the votes? It was like 55 million to 53 million, something like that. So only about 100 million people vote. But that's a lot of people out of 300 million. That's a pretty good turnout rate. They say that when you're giving a speech to a wide audience like that, you want to keep your talking, your words, your vocabulary to as low a reading level as possible, because you want to make sure you have a through line that gets through to everyone in the room. So for example, the last election, they said guys like Bernie Sanders and Hillary and some of the other people, they would give speeches and they would analyze the vocabulary in the speeches. And they said that those guys were giving speeches that were on an 8th or 9th grade reading level, meaning you had to be able to read at an 8th or 9th grade level to understand what these people were saying. But then when Donald Trump gave a speech, and I'm going to ask a question here, y'all answer this. What reading level do you think Donald Trump's speeches were on when he gave his speeches when he was running for president in 2016? This is not a rhetorical question, so y'all go ahead and answer. When Donald Trump was giving his speeches, 2016, 15, 16, going into the election, what reading level was his vocabulary on when he was giving his speeches to the crowd? I'm asking for a certain grade. What grade? 5th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 12th grade, no, 2nd grade. What level was he speaking on? Because Bernie and Hillary and it was somebody else they mentioned. I can't remember who else they mentioned. Ben Carson. They said these people were speaking on like an 8th or 9th grade reading level when they were giving their speeches. Donald Trump's speeches, they said his stuff was on a 2nd and 3rd grade reading level. Now, some people use that as like proof. Like, see, Donald Trump's dumb. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's unstable. He shouldn't be president. He was speaking at a 2nd or 3rd grade reading level, which means this. Damn near everyone he was talking to, they knew what the fuck he was talking about. Now, you might not agree with it, but you knew what he was talking about. 8th or 9th grade level, you would think, all right, so to be old enough to vote, you got to be 18, right? So how's somebody going to be 18 and they can't understand the 8th or 9th grade reading level? Listen, there's a lot of people out here in this world and everybody ain't the same. Donald Trump's message was, some people call that dumbing it down, but dumbing it down works when you're trying to speak to the masses. So it's very important that you understand your audience, and your audience has to understand what you are giving to them. They don't understand what you're saying to them. They can't do what you want them to do. They can't take any action if they don't understand what you're saying. So can you get your message across clearly? Are you confident and competent? Extreme vetting, somebody said. I don't even know what that means, but I'm sure it relates to what I'm saying here. Confidence and competence. Delivering your message. That means not only do you believe in what you're saying, but it's competent, meaning when people hear what you're saying, they can draw the line. They can connect the dots from the point that you're making to the conclusion that you're getting to. Even if they never heard it before, even if they never heard of you, even though you're the expert, you're the one giving the information, they should still understand it. You got to be able to bridge the gap from where you are to where they are. If you can't bridge that gap, that means your delivery skills are off and you need to work on that. Because if you can't deliver your message, then nothing else you're trying to do is going to matter. Point number 2. Knowledge of the subject. This is how they evaluate you. Do you have knowledge of what you're talking about? And here's the thing about knowledge of your subject, and this could be a tricky one for some people who are trying to establish your expertise, is that knowing what you're talking about and being able to get it across to other people, they don't know it, right? They don't know your topic as well as you know it. So you have to be able to take what you know, break it down into small pieces that the audience can get. They can get it where they're at right now, and then eventually you bring them up to where you are so that they understand it at least on a basic level at the level that you do. They probably not experts like you are. They probably couldn't give a speech on it at the end of your hour presentation, but they should understand it now by the time you get to the end of your presentation. The second point is, do you know what the fuck you're talking about? Do you know what you're talking about when you're speaking on a subject? The people in the crowd should believe by the end of that topic that, damn, this person talking about confidence, they're talking about how to fix a dishwasher or how to create a new smartphone. They really know this subject. You should not only relate to them where they are, but at the same time, give them something new on top of that. Because if all you're giving them is what they already know, or quote unquote already know, sometimes when you give a presentation to people, they're like, well, I already knew the things that you said. Yeah, everybody already knows after you gave them the information. But the thing is, you got to connect to where they already are at and add on to that in a way that they never consider or the way that they never thought of. And the reason why it has to be something that they haven't thought of before is because that's what they're paying you for. I'm not paying to hear somebody speak and talk about something that I already thought about, or already knew, or that I already did. Now, yeah, you need to relate to what I already have done so that I can understand you, so we're on the same page. But then you got to take me to a new level. All right, you got to meet me on the 3rd floor where I'm at. Then you got to take me up to the 8th floor in the elevator. And it's your job to not lose me while going from the 3rd floor to the 8th floor. Because I've never been to the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th floor. You got to make sure you keep me with you as you're going up in levels, as you're going up in complexity when you're explaining the things that you're explaining. So this second point, knowledge of the subject, you know what you're talking about. Can you provide examples and stories to help glue things together? So when you're giving people new information, it's really important that you tell stories. It's important that you give examples. It's important that you have anecdotes. If you listen to me on video, on podcasts, a lot of stuff that I write, I don't always use a story, but I often use stories. I often use examples. I usually talk about something that happened in my own life. And then I draw a line from that experience to the point that I'm trying to make. Then I draw that line from that point to something that I want to move you to next. Like, all right, go read this, or go click on this, or go watch this, or go sign up for that, or go buy that. That's the way that I draw the line and show you that I know what I'm talking about, but also give you an experience that you can relate to. And the thing about telling stories and using anecdotes, is that's what people remember. People do not remember information, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say that one more time. People do not remember information. The only way somebody remembers information is if they take it in over and over and over again. We call that spaced repetition. So when I tell you that work on your game is taking a pro athlete mindset and applying it to business, sports, and life, I say that every stream. You may eventually remember that because I keep saying it over and over again. But you're not going to remember it just because I said it once. Now, if I tell you a story about something funny that happened or something crazy that happened or any stories that you could think of that happened in your life, something could have happened 10 years ago, you remember the story because human beings, the way we're wired is we remember narratives. That's the reason why people who are great storytellers are always usually pretty great at presenting, because all they got to do is tell story after story after story. You don't even remember any of the information, but you remember all the stories. And when you recall a story, you can remember the information that's attached to it. So all of you out there who want to get your messages and stories out there, your experiences out there, start writing down your stories. If you don't have a great memory, like I think I have a really good memory, but those of you who don't have a great memory, when you come up with a story that you can relate to a point, write it down. Or write down some note that will remind you of the story. You need to have a whole inventory of stories. Any of you who's watching this who read my book, Work on Your Game, if you read that book, what are you getting in that book? You're getting story after story after story after story. All it is basically a storybook. I'm taking a story, then I'm giving you a point why I'm telling you that story and how you can apply it. That's the whole book, all the way through, 250 pages. Story, here's the point of the story, here's how you apply it. Here's the story, here's the point of the story, here's how you apply it. That's all I do over and over and over and over again. That's what I'm doing right now. I told you a story of why I'm talking about this. I'm giving you the points, then I'm going to tell you how to apply it. That's all I do. And anyone who's a good presenter, anyone who's good at getting their point across, and they don't have to be a book writer or doing a live stream, but any way you get your point across. It could just be talking to somebody. You could be a boss at McDonald's. You got to be able to do this. Tell a story. People remember the story. And when people recall a story, they'll remember the point. And then when they remember the point, they can think, okay, this is how I apply it because they already heard you say it. But this is very, very important. For any presenter, any type of presentation, you must get good at telling stories because people will not remember the information. If I just tell you, look, take your confidence and take it to the highest level you could possibly take it, then take it even higher and be like that all the time. Don't worry about having too much confidence. That's not going to be a problem. You will understand what I just said, but you're not going to remember it, and you probably won't apply it. But if I tell you a story, and I say, look, it was this dude who was in high school. He was on his high school basketball team. The coach said, today, I'm going to make each one of y'all pretend to be somebody else on the team just so y'all can show each other how you play. And this one guy, he was an average player on the team, but the coach told him, today, you got to pretend to be the best player on the team. And then this player, who's an average player every day, he goes through one practice, and he plays like the best player in the world because his job was to be the best player on the team. And he's making all kinds of shots and doing all kinds of moves, and everybody's looking at him crazy like, yo, where's all these skills coming from out of nowhere? And then the coach says, man, if that's what it takes, you need to pretend to be the best player on the team every day. And you laugh when you hear that. And then I go and tell you, yo, some people call that fake it till you make it, but that's not true. I call it the super you, because fake it till you make it means you're pretending. Super you is you're being it for real. And when you shoot the basketball and it goes in the basket, it goes in the basket for real. I'm telling you a story. You're going to remember the story. You might not remember me explaining the logic of the information, because logic can go in one ear and out the other. And it's hard to remember that stuff if you're not taking it in over and over again. But a story you can hear one time and you'll remember it. I mean, think about your own life. You got stories of things that you went through one time. You only experienced it one time, but you've been telling that story for the last 10 years because the story means something to you, because it matters to you, because you remember it. Usually it touches something in you emotional. When we connect emotion with a situation, we usually remember it. Logic is very unemotional. Logic is a very unemotional thing. So those of you who are very logical thinkers, or you're logical in the way that you break things down, like me, I'm very logical in the way I break things down, but I understand that. So even though I understand the logic, I know you're not going to remember all of my logic. So what I do is I connect it to a story, which anybody can remember. Then I explain the logic, and now you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Now you can go and use it. And that's what I do. And again, all of my speeches, I've done it in my TED Talks, I do it in my books, I do it in my live streams. Story, point, application. Story, point, application. Say it with me. Story, point, application. That is the way that you get your information across to other people. And when we're still on the second point here. The topic is, where am I? Knowledge of the subject. You want to take some conventional wisdom that people think they know about a certain topic, and you want to break that down and replace it with something else. Story point application. Thank you, K. Baldwin. You want to break that down and give them something new. For example, everybody here, when it comes to confidence, everybody here has heard of this whole concept called fake it till you make it, right? What is fake it till you make it? You are where you are right now. You want to get to a higher level though. So while you're here, you pretend to be somebody who is at this level, and then if you pretend to be this person long enough, eventually you just become it, and then you start living like it, right? A lot of people think that's the way to build your confidence. I'm going to come in the room and tell you, no, that's not the way you build your confidence. I'm going to give you a story of what I just gave you about the high school basketball player. And I'm going to say, you might think that what I just explained to you is fake it till you make it, right? And some people are going to say, yeah, fake it till you make it. And I'm saying wrong. And now I just broken your pattern of thought. You thought you knew where I was going. Now I'm going to take you in a different direction. It's not fake it till you make it. Now here's the logic. It's not fake it till you make it, because fake it till you make it means you're pretending. But if a basketball player pretends to be LeBron and he shoots the ball and it goes in the basket, that's not fake. The ball actually went in the basket. So it can't be fake it till you make it. That's being real. That's for real. So instead of calling it fake it till you make it, let's call it something new. Let's give it a new name. I call that the super you. What's the super you? That's you at your highest possible level of confidence. Now here's the thing about the super you. This is a side note. I'm out of the story now. Here's the thing about the super you. I created the super you. I wrote a book called The Super You. If you read my book, Work on Your Game, there's a chapter in there called Super You. So I own it. So now nobody else can go use that because it's mine. If you go Google Super You, you're going to see me. You're going to see my book. You're going to see a chapter in my book. I created that. So that's the next thing I want to tell you. When you're showing people knowledge of your subject, you need to come up with some proprietary topics, some proprietary names or brands or something that you own. So when somebody brings that up, they got to talk about you, or they can't bring it up at all. They got to come up with their own. So when I say work on your game, you know, oh, that's Dre Baldwin, work on your game. You Google work on your game, you're going to see me. You Google the third day, you Google the super you, you're going to see me, because I branded these things by using them over and over again, writing books about these things. And now I can explain, well, what that means is this, and then I can break it down. So now I can take the same stuff. I'm not the first person to ever talk about discipline or confidence or mental toughness. I'm not the first, and I'm not the last. I'm not the first athlete to go out and do speaking or write a book or talk about mindset. There are a lot of athletes who do that, but a lot of them are garbage because they don't have any new information to share. And I might be talking about some of the same things that they're talking about, but I explain it in a completely different way. I brand it in a different way. I put a logo on it, I put a name on it, and I own it to where if you look that thing up, you're going to see me. So now I'm separating myself from all of them, because I branded it and I created my own new knowledge. I created my own lane of knowledge. Even though it's in the same field as other people, I created my own lane of it. You could do this exact same thing. And a lot of people do this. You think of somebody hustling, working hard and grinding and putting yourself out there. You got a guy like Gary Vee. He wrote a book called Crush It, right? And then he wrote another book called Crushed It or Crushing It, or whatever he called that. And somebody wants to put out content. And you want to put out a bunch of content for free value, right? And then you want to sell something. So you got to put out a bunch of stuff, then sell. Put out a bunch of stuff, then sell. A lot of people talk about that. But Gary Vee, he went and wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. Now, when anybody talks about put out content, then sell, put out content, then sell, they usually refer to his shit. They say jab, 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 right hook. And anybody says that, you got to refer to Gary Vee, because he created a new lane of the exact same knowledge that people have been talking about forever. If you want to talk about somebody just hustling and putting themselves out there and just doing everything you can, taking out all your energy, using every second to get value out of it, people just call that hustling, grinding, putting yourself out there, right? But Grant Cardone, he went and wrote a book called The 10X Rule. So now, when somebody says, I want to 10X what I'm doing, often somebody's going to be like, oh yeah, you're talking about Grant Cardone. It's not like he didn't invent hustling. He didn't invent working hard. He didn't invent making the most of your time and energy. He didn't invent any of that. What he did was invent the 10X rule. He created a brand new lane of knowledge that's going to be connected to his name forever, because he wrote a book on it. If you Google the 10X rule, you're going to see Grant Cardone's name, even though he's far from the first person to use the phrase 10X. Everybody uses that phrase. But because he went and branded it, now he owns it. Again, Gary Vee with Crushing It, Dre Baldwin, Work on Your Game. And there's a bunch of other people who have their own lanes and the things that they talk about. You have to talk about them every time you bring that thing up. So you got to figure out what are your own lanes. Anybody who got questions, I'm going to take them at the end. So if you got a question, you can post it now, or you can hold it till the end. I will address them at the end. You got to figure out what your lane is going to be and how you're getting your information out there. And at the same time, you want to handle objections. Because when you come up with something new, here's the thing. Human beings, we are creatures of habit. All right, we have our ways of thinking. We have our set ways that we think, and we want to keep those ways. To change our ways of thinking takes effort, takes energy, and we don't want to do that. So people are going to have objections. So when I say something like, take your confidence as high as possible, people are going to say something like, well, wouldn't having too much confidence be a problem? Couldn't that get you in trouble? Wouldn't that get people not liking you? Wouldn't that have people saying, yo, you're being arrogant or you're being cocky? Well, what do? I don't wait for you to say that. I address the objection before you even bring it up. And any of you who has ever worked in sales, you know this. And let me explain something to y'all who don't know. Every time you're presenting to an audience, you are selling. Even if you're not offering a product and you're not asking for money, you're still selling. Like when I go do a speaking gig, they already paid me, but I'm still selling to that audience. And the people in the audience aren't the ones who paid. The organization paid, but I'm still selling you on listening to me. I'm selling you on accepting my information. I'm selling you on remembering the stuff I talked about, and I'm selling you on applying what I said. Because if you don't apply it, then what was the point of you even coming? What was the point of me coming? So you're always selling. So when you're in sales, and everybody in sales knows this, you got to consider what objections your audience may have to your information before you say it, and then you knock those objections down before they even bring them up. So I'll say, for example, all right, y'all hear this whole thing I'm saying about confidence, but you're probably thinking, what if you're too confident? What if you have too much confidence? Wouldn't that be a problem? Well, I happen to, side note, I did a TED Talk called Too Much Confidence Is Not Your Problem. And if you go to toomuchconfidence.com, you can see a couple presentations I did on confidence. That's another side note. But what I do in my presentation, I say, look, since you're thinking that, let me ask you a question. How many times have you been too confident and it's gotten you in trouble? Usually when I say that, people laugh because it sounds ridiculous, right? Because nobody ever has that problem. Even though everybody thinks that's a problem, nobody ever has the problem. So can't you see how that doesn't make sense? It's conventional wisdom. Everybody thinks that, but yet nobody's ever had the problem of being too confident. And usually people laugh when I say that. And then I say, how many times have you not been confident enough and you lost an opportunity, or you missed out on something, or you didn't do something you knew you wanted to do, and now you just missed it forever for the rest of your life? And people are always like, damn, you know what, you're right. And they're like, you know what, you're right. Now create a new lane of information. Too much confidence is not your problem. And as a matter of fact, I might write a book on that subject. I already did a TED Talk on it, but I might write a book on that exact subject so I can own that, so I can create another new lane of information. You see how this works? So you got to create those new lanes, knock down people's objections before they even think of them. Because if they get to bring up the objection, then it's like you didn't think ahead. The more you think into their heads, the more they're going to see you as an expert, and the higher chance they're going to buy from you. Point number 3. And what we're talking about, for those who came in the middle of this stream, we're talking about how they evaluate you when you are presenting yourself as an expert. When you do a live stream, you're presenting yourself as somebody who knows something that the audience doesn't know. And you got to knock these things down. If they don't see these things in you, they're not going to buy into you as an expert. And the more of them you knock down, the more they buy into you as an expert, and the higher chance that when you do offer something for sale, or you want them to do something, even if it doesn't cost money, higher chance they'll do it because they trust your authority as an expert. Third one, usefulness to the audience of the knowledge acquired. Now, this is a big one. The question here is very simple. How can the audience use what you just talked about? See, I could get on this stream right now and I could talk for an hour straight, and I might go for an hour here. We'll see. But just because I talk doesn't mean you got any value out of it. Because value is not just, oh, you said some good stuff and it was eye-opening and you dropped value and people leaving comments and likes and all that shit. That's all good. But what are you actually going to do with what I said? So what usefulness, when you speak to your audience, I don't care if you're doing it in an Instagram post, a tweet, a YouTube video, a speech, a book, what are they going to do with the knowledge that you gave them? And let me help you out here. If you want to make sure they do something with the knowledge that you gave them, make it easy for them and tell them what to do. That's the way it works. Don't wait for them to figure it out. Tell them what to do with the knowledge that you're giving them, and say to them, all right, so now I told you this is what you need to do. Now go do this, this, and this. When you're as a speaker, as a coach, a consultant, you want to make sure you're giving your audience some things to do. Give them some homework, give them steps to take, give them a call to action. You always want to give people a call to action, because if you don't give them a call to action, you know what most people do? Nothing. They don't take action. So what is the usefulness to the audience of the things that they have acquired? And this is very important, especially when you are coming from outside of the industry talking to other people. For example, those of y'all who are watching this, Neo DeViso, what's going on, my brother? For example, those of you who are watching this, most of y'all ain't basketball players. Like, I spent 9 years playing basketball. Before that, 4 years in college. Before that, years in high school. All I was pretty much doing was playing basketball. I didn't start doing other stuff until 2005. So I was born in 1982. So 23 years, all I was doing was sports, right? So a lot of my experience, the stuff that I talk about my background in sports. And I did 9 years of pro ball, and I started doing business stuff at the same time that I was doing the basketball stuff. So here's the thing. If I'm going to speak into an audience, and I had all these years playing ball, and you don't play ball, what am I going to tell you that's going to be valuable to you if all this experience that I got is from playing ball? That's one of the things that I use when I'm pitching myself to give a speech or something like that. I'm like, yo, I played basketball for 9 years. The reason I say that is because it separates me from all these other people. It's like, oh, he played ball. That's different from this dude who just went to school and wrote a book. It's different from this dude who started a business. It's different from this dude who worked at an office. He played basketball. That's like unique. So I use that. I use that to my advantage. But here's the challenge of that. What is my experience on the court going to do for you? You work at an office building. And it's my job to figure that out. It's my job to glue together where I was at to where you're at. I got to bridge the gap from here in this office building where you work to here on this basketball court where I was at. I got to figure that out, and I got to explain that to you how this works. So, for example, y'all see what I'm doing here? Y'all listen to the stuff I'm telling you. You see me doing it. I'll say something like, I was at a basketball game. I was watching the game, and somebody asked me, Dre, do you miss playing basketball? And I say, yes, I miss playing basketball, because who gets tired of going to a court and playing a game and getting paid for it? That's fun. Nobody gets tired of that. Only reason you stop playing ball is if you get injured, you can't get a job, or you get tired of training. Those are only 3 reasons you stop playing ball. Andy, what's going on? Those are only 3 reasons you stop playing sports. You either got injured, nobody will hire you, or you don't want to do the training anymore. I stopped playing ball because I didn't want to train no more. I didn't want to train for 4 hours a day anymore. I wanted to do some other things. Actually, I wouldn't mind training 4 hours a day, but I had some other things that I would rather do, so I stopped playing ball. Any athlete who walked away from the game, I guarantee you they'll tell you they got tired of the training, or they got injured, or they just couldn't get a gig. Those are only 3 reasons any athlete stops playing. So now I draw a parallel from that to something else, and I talk about discipline, because showing up every day and training as an athlete, some people might think that's like a dream job, but if you're out there actually doing it, the shit is not as fun as it looks all the time. Some days you just don't fucking feel like being in the gym, or on the track, or on the field, or on the pool, or whatever sport you play. You don't always fucking feel like doing that shit. You might think you would, but until you get in it, you don't want to. And when you get to that 3rd day, or first day you do it, you feel good. 2nd day is only the 2nd day, you good. The 3rd day, it ain't new no more. The 3rd day, is like, all right, now you're used to it. The 3rd day, everybody stops being polite and starts being real, right? You remember that MTV show, The Real World? People start being real on the 3rd day. Now you're like, shit, this is really it. This is a real fucking job. Like, I really got to show up and work hard every day. It ain't as easy as it looks on TV. And I branded that. Now I got this whole concept called the 3rd day. You read my book, Work on Your Game. There's a whole chapter called what? The 3rd day. I got a book coming out this year. What is it called? The 3rd day. What is it about? It's about discipline, showing up every single day, doing your job, even when you don't feel like it. So what did I just do? Y'all notice what I just did there? For those of y'all been watching this whole time, I hope y'all caught that. Anthony was good. I hope y'all caught that. I draw a bridge from the 3rd day. An athlete don't want to show up every day and work out, but guess what? People in office buildings, y'all got the same problem we got. You don't always feel like being at work. You might not announce it. You might not post it on Instagram. You don't always feel like being at work. So I'm doing the exact same thing. I had that experience. You had that experience. Then I draw the parallel. I say, well, look, this is what it means to be a professional. You got to show up every day and do your job. It ain't always fun. I know. It wasn't fun to play, but you might think it's a dream job to play sports. But when you in practice for the 3rd day in a row, and you ain't playing the last game, and it's hot outside, or it's cold, or the coach been yelling at you, or you ain't been getting in the game, but you still got to show up and work hard in practice, you don't feel like doing that shit. The same thing with you. Your kids getting on your nerves at home, your wife getting on your nerves, your car broke down, you got all this other stuff going on in their life, but you got to come work for 8 hours. You don't feel like being at work. I know that feeling. So now I'm drawing a parallel from my life to your life. That is bridging the gap. This is usefulness of your knowledge and application of the knowledge. Y'all understand this? All of this stuff you got to be able to do. Everything I'm giving you here, you got to be able to do as a professional. And those of y'all who are coming in the middle of this, I'm talking about how you get evaluated as a professional and the things that you do. If you have questions or comments, I will address them at the end. I'm on point number 3. I got 6 points that I'm giving y'all here today. And this is something that's going to be on the Work on Your Game audio experience, also known as a podcast. I don't call mine a podcast, but y'all call it a podcast, so y'all understand it. That's why I keep saying it. So this is the glue. You got to glue together your life to their life. So if you're a personal trainer and you're talking to a bunch of school teachers, what the hell is a personal trainer going to tell a school teacher? That's your job to figure that out. If you're a school teacher and you're talking to a bunch of personal trainers, what the hell is a school teacher going to tell a personal trainer? It's your job to figure that out. It's your job to draw the bridge from your experience to their experience and find the commonalities. And then you got to explain those commonalities and how what you went through and what they go through is a similar thing or how it's different and why they should listen to you. If you can't do that, nobody's going to accept you as an expert. Point. If you're not doing that, you're just basically just talking shit. And you might sound good, but if people can't apply it and understand why it matters to them, they're not listening. Always remember that your audience does not care about you, they care about themselves. All right, they're just listening to you to see if you're going to say something that matters to them. Y'all caught what I just said there? All right, I hope y'all catching the stuff that I'm saying here because I'm giving y'all the game. Point number 4. How would you improve the person's presentation? Now, everybody, here's the thing. When you ask for feedback, when you ask people for constructive feedback, you're going to get it. All right, so you better damn well be ready if you're going to ask for this. I did a video on YouTube probably like 11 years ago. This one I started to build an audience on YouTube. I started putting out videos every day. I put out this video that was like, give me any criticism you got of my game. Just post it in the comments. And I got hundreds of comments of people just saying negative shit about my game because I asked for it. It's not like they wasn't hating. I just asked. I said, give me any feedback you give me on my game, constructive criticism, trash my game. Just if you had to trash me, what would you say? And everybody had a comment. It was crazy. Like people who never comment was leaving comments. The reason why is because I asked for constructive feedback. So here's the thing. If you ask your audience for constructive feedback or to criticize you, nobody will be at a loss for words. All right, it doesn't happen. If you ask, this is just human nature. We all can think of things that we can say critically of other people. So if you ask for this, you better damn well have thick skin and you better be ready for it. 90% of it is going to be useless. It's people just talking shit. And maybe 10% of it will be useful, but you got to read through all the bullshit to get to the good stuff. So you got to be discerning enough to figure out what parts are useful and what parts are not. So we ain't got to spend too much time on that. But understand that you will get criticism if you ask for it. And another side note, if you don't get criticism from anybody, that does not mean that you're perfect. It just means nobody told you anything, but it doesn't mean you're perfect. So if you don't have anybody in your life, like a mentor or a coach or a friend that you trust who could tell you the real and like tell you about yourself and tell you when you fucking up or tell you how you need to get better, you need to go find one because nobody is perfect. So if everything you're hearing is people telling you how great you are, listen, you need to wake up and go find somebody who will tell you the truth. And the other thing is, what I call the 95% rule, is that you shouldn't even listen to the audience. Honestly, you shouldn't listen to like the feedback you're getting from the audience. If everybody in your audience is telling you that you're great, you can appreciate them, but don't buy into it. Like, don't allow your ego to buy into the fact that they're telling you that you're great, because as soon as you look like you're losing or you're fucking up or you take an L publicly, the same people telling you how great you are going to be the same people talking shit and posting memes about you. So do not buy into what the fans, quote unquote, are saying. I'm not saying y'all personally who are watching this. What I mean is, you can't go off public opinion, because public opinion, usually people just follow what everybody else is doing. That's why on Instagram we got followers, right? People just follow what everybody else is doing. So if the crowd is saying, fuck this person, everybody's going to say fuck that person. If the crowd is saying this person is great, everybody's going to say this person is great. People are just following what everybody else is doing. So understand, you should not buy into, through your ego, emotionally, what the audience is saying. Even when they're telling you you're the man or the woman or the greatest thing ever, don't buy into that. Because if you let them build you up that way, they'll be the same motherfuckers that tear you down. So don't buy into that. Your personal opinion about you needs to come from you and from your own posture within yourself, not what the crowd is saying about you, especially a bunch of people that you never even met. Point number 5. Here's the question that gets asked about you. What would you tell other people who are thinking about attending this? Now, this is something that you should keep in mind when you present to any audience. Again, through any format, whether you're writing a book, you're doing a speaking gig, you coaching somebody one-on-one, even if you meet somebody in the street and they know you off Instagram, what are they going to tell their friends about you? Because you know they're talking about you when you're not around, right? You know they're talking about you behind your back. I know some of y'all watching this right now, you're going to tell somebody that is not watching this, you're going to tell them something about me. They're going to say, what was you doing today? You're going to say, I was watching this live stream by Dre Baldwin. They're going to be like, well, who the fuck is Dre Baldwin? And you're going to say something about me. So you need to consider, you as the presenter, what are people going to say about you when you're not around? Because that's basically what your brand becomes. Your brand, it starts with what you say about you, but it ends with what the world, is saying about you when you're not there. Because it's more of them than it is you. All right, I don't care how much money you spend on ads. You can't control everything that's getting said about you. Other people are going to say stuff about you, and you want to make sure they're saying good things about you. So ask yourself, what do I want these people to say about me when it's over, and how can I deliver to them in a certain way that they say that about me anyway? So think about that. And this is where people are going to summarize you. People are going to take your whole life, your whole existence, your whole 300-page book, your whole hour-long live stream, and they're going to summarize the whole thing in like 2 sentences. So I'm going to sit here and talk to y'all for an hour, right? And then you're going to take everything that I said for an hour, and you're going to summarize it in like 2 sentences. And that seems kind of unfair, right? But that's why you as a professional, it's your job as a professional to over-deliver to your audience. So whatever those 2 sentences are, it's going to be something positive. It's going to be something good. It's going to be something that makes you look good. And even if it happens to be bad, you got another one coming the next day because you didn't run out of content. So if you're doing a live presentation, though, in real life, like a speech or something, and they're doing these evaluations, all you need to do is summarize your talk. And I'm going to do that at the end of this. Summarize your main points. Summarize what you want people to take from it. Summarize the call to action, the actions you want people to take after they hear everything you say. And that's pretty much what they're going to remember. We call this the recency effect. The primacy effect is the first thing people hear. The recency effect is the last thing people hear. And usually, those are only 2 things they remember. The first thing they heard and the last thing they heard. Somebody tell me what was point number 2. None of y'all know because I already passed it and it was in the middle. So that's the example. That's the point that I'm making. People don't remember the middle. They remember the first thing and they remember the last thing. And the last point, number 6. How did this session deliver on its promise? This is a very important one right here. And this is something that I've been talking about I'm talking about all this stuff for years online. Any of y'all who came in late, we're talking about how you get evaluated as an expert out here in the world. When you present yourself out there the way that I'm doing right now, or if you go do a speaking gig, or you are coaching somebody, or you're selling a product or service. I don't care if you're selling a book for $5, or you're selling a mastermind retreat for $5,000, or what's another thing you can sell? You're selling some group coaching for $300. Whatever you're selling, there's a promise that you're making that gets people to buy. You're telling people, look, if you buy this product, or you come to this event, or you listen to what I'm saying, you're going to get this. And let me be clear, people usually only remember one thing that they're going to get. All right, so don't go list 10 things they're going to get because they're not going to remember 10 things. They're going to remember like one thing. So narrow it down to one main thing they're going to get, and you better damn well make sure that the thing that you give is what they get. They better get that thing that you promised. You must deliver on your promise. When you do a professional speaking gig, for example, they have any kind of gig, doesn't matter where it's at, what kind of event, there'll always be like some kind of write-up about you. They'll either put it on the website, they'll have your picture, they'll have your name, and then they'll say, here's the title of the talk, and here's what they're going to talk about. And it's like 2 paragraphs, and you get to write this yourself. This is who I am, this is what I'm going to talk about. Your speech better be reflective of that 2 paragraphs. Your 1 hour, 60-minute, 2-hour speech, it better be what you said it was going to be. Because if you don't deliver on your promise, people are going to be pissed off. They're like, yo, you said the speech was going to be about this, this, and this, but you were talking about these other things. They don't have nothing to do with what you said you were going to talk about. You got to make sure you deliver. If I sell you a book, and I say this book is called The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline, and you read the book, and it's not about self-discipline, you're going to be like, yo, what the fuck is this? You sold me something different. You got to make sure whatever you're giving, you are reflecting that in your pitch, because the way you get people to buy is your summary of what you're giving them. But what they actually get is way more than the way you summarized it, right? But you got to make sure what you're selling is in the thing that they're getting. If it's not in there, people are going to have problems and they will never buy from you again. So you got to juxtapose. This is where people juxtapose their expectations against your actual reality and delivery. So if I say I'm doing group coaching, which I am, and I'm putting it out this week, which I will, and I say this is for brand builders and business owners who want to get their business built, you want to start creating content, and you want to actually make money from the content that you deliver and have people willing to spend money on your stuff so you get paid for it, as well as you generate an audience and have an audience that you build and build a relationship with. If I say that and you sign up and I don't give you that, you'll never buy anything from me ever again. So I got to make sure I deliver on my promise. Whatever the promise is, I got to deliver. When I went to that conference last week, y'all saw the live streams, and I went to funnel hacking in Nashville, they sold it a certain way. They said, look, we're going to give you and show you all the things you need to know about building up your sales funnels and building your audiences and how to do it the right way and how to narrow down all the stuff you're doing. And we're going to give you all the resources you need to do what you need to do. Anything you need to know about doing this successfully is going to be here at this event. And they delivered on that. That's why I'm going back. That's why I bought another ticket while I was still there. So you got to make sure you're delivering on your promise. Whatever your promise is, deliver on it. Don't promise what you can't deliver. All right. You know how they say over promise and over deliver? All right. Just make sure you do it. All right. Don't over deliver something that you can't do, because people will remember that shit, especially when they spend money. People have emotional attachments to their money. So if you do not deliver on something that you charge people money for, I guarantee they're going to let you know about it. and they might ask you for their money back. So make sure make sure you're delivering at a high level. So I'm gonna recap these points. Anybody has a question, go ahead and post it in the comments. I'm letting y'all know right now that the group coaching offer is coming soon this week. I'm probably going to accept somewhere between 10 and 20 people for the first group. It's going to be, should I even tell y'all, because I haven't solidified this yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 10-week program. It's going to be once a week, a live call. There will be homework. There will be additional resources given. I will be taking everybody's live questions and things like that. If you like what I just did right now, and this is pretty much, a lot of this is just off the top. I'm using my notes, but it's just bullet points. If you like this, I will do this in a small group setting specifically for business people, specifically for brand owners and brand builders, business owners, people who want to create content, build your brand, get your name out there, and actually make money off of your expertise like I have over the last 10 plus years, 15 years. That's coming very soon. It's coming this upcoming week. If you're not on my email list, make sure you go to workonmygame.com, because when I put this out, that's where the offer is going to go first to the people who are on my email list. So if you're not on the list, you might miss out. You might miss the window. But I'll probably start that. It'll probably start, the first call will probably, I'm thinking, will be in March, but I'm going to make the offer right now so people can sign up. So if you're not signed up, you can't get in. It's only going to be for people who signed up. Of course, you got to sign up to get in. So let me recap these 6 points very quickly. Number 1, the instructor's delivery skills. Can people understand what you're saying? Number 2, knowledge of the subject. Do you know what you're talking about? Number 3, usefulness to the audience of the knowledge acquired. Just because you come from a different industry doesn't mean it's okay for them to not understand what you're saying. So if you're an athlete and you're talking to people who pave roads outside, they do pavements and concrete like I just did last week, you got to draw a parallel between what you do and what they did, or somehow make them understand it, even though they never lived the life that you live and you don't live the life that they live. Number 4, how would you improve it? People get asked for constructive feedback. You better be ready for it. You better have thick skin. Number 5, what would you tell other people who are thinking about attending this? This is basically where people summarize your whole 1-hour presentation in like 30 seconds. Help them out by giving them the summary of what they should take from it. And number 6, how did this session deliver on its promise? This is where people juxtapose their expectations against the reality. What did you actually give them compared to what they expected to get? And hopefully it's the same thing, because if it's not, people are going to have a problem with it and they will never buy from you ever again. So all that being said, like I said, this is about how they evaluate you. So any of you who wants to present yourself as an expert out there in the field, you got to make sure you're checking yourself against all these points. And if you didn't remember everything that I said, and or you want to hear me go into this even deeper, just stay tuned to the Work on Your Game podcast. This will be episode number, I'm gonna tell you what episode this is going to be. It's a while away. I don't even remember what episode came out today, but this one is going to be episode number 1410. And for y'all who don't know, I got more episodes than anybody out there. 1410. And we are only on, I think we are 1360 something like that. So it's a while away, about more than a month away. But I'm giving this to you right now. I'm giving y'all the game right now up top. So anybody who got a question, go ahead and leave your question right now. Mirror Motivation is where you can get my free book, Self-Guide to Self-Discipline and Mirror Motivation. I'm going to go through here and see what questions we got. All right, let's see what we got going on. If you got a question, go ahead and ask it. There's no such thing as a bad question. Only bad question is the one that you don't ask if it's related to the topic. As long as it's related to the topic, then it's good. William, checking in from Brazil. I shouted you out before. All right, Katrina says, do you have any tips for basketball mentality? Because I have the skills, but I'm letting my mentality take over my game. I suggest you get the Bulletproof Bundle. Go to bulletproofbundle.com. I just got that domain name. Bulletproofbundle.com. Get those 4 books on mindset, dominating the mental game, and taking that and putting it into your performance. Katrina, go to bulletproofbundle.com. Let's see. I'm just going through the comments right here for whoever is coming in the middle. I've been talking for the last 45 minutes. Regroup for Change LLC. What's going on? Appreciate you. Vic Rose Infinity. That's what's up. Thank you for the thumbs up. K Baller 201. What's up? Keys to the Court. What's going on? ARB, should we make up a story if we can't think of one? No, just start writing down your stories. That's what you should start doing. Start writing down all your stories now, so that when you get to a point where you're giving a presentation or you need to get some information to people, you got a story to tell. The easiest way to get information to somebody is to tell them a story, because we do not remember information. We only remember stories. Yes, K Baller, appreciate that. So as the basketball player was showing his Super U, yes, he had tapped into the Super U is what I call it, but same thing, yes. K Baller, that's what's up. Khaled says, how great is it to play 1 year basketball averaging 20 points in Europe freshman? I don't understand the question. You had to rephrase that question. It doesn't make grammatical sense. I don't understand what you're trying to say. Regroup for Change, thank you for the diamond emoji. Yes, I am dropping jewels. K Baller says, even in my basketball games, I take the shot and I'm confident, but I miss. My coach is proud. Well, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's what they say, right? Being too confident has led to me throwing the game. Well, keep working on your game and be too confident, and it'll probably lead to you winning more games than you give away. Neil DeViso, that's what's up. Andy from Cali checking in, that's what's up. Anthony Rombach, what's good? Trade on purpose, thank you for the comment. Mattia Vibech, what's good? And Simon says, what do you think about going to college for business? What do I think about it? I mean, it's a very broad question. Do what you want to do. I mean, you will build relationships, meet people. I talked about the things you should do in college. I did a podcast on that. Meet people, build relationships, learn how to discipline yourself. One thing you do learn in college is disciplining yourself. If you graduate, you got to be disciplined. And every college is different. You know, all professors are different, so I can't say that every college is useless or whatever. We got the internet now. It's solid in place, so I'm sure there are classes that you could take on stuff that when I was in college, they weren't teaching it because we didn't have, the internet wasn't what it is. So they didn't know what they didn't know. ARB said, did Dre from 11 years ago handle that well? Yeah, I laughed at it because I knew what it was. I made the video. I mean, you got to remember, I'm the one who put the video out. I knew what was going to happen. Easy Money Sniper said, any tips on how to balance relationship and career? Yeah, I did a podcast on that. If you look it up, go to Work on Your Game University. ARB says, where can we hear more than 95% rule? Guess where? Work on Your Game University. And I'll tell you even what episode it is. 95% rule is, just saw it. Episode 971 is the 95% rule, ARB 14. If we shouldn't buy into what the audience says about us, how do we judge that what we're preaching is actually good? Well, that's a good question. You need to find a trusted advisor, some trusted people who know their stuff, not the whole world, but people who are actually good, and let them tell you what you're doing. You can't let the whole crowd just tell you if you're good or not, because you never know who these people are. You don't know if they have any knowledge, if they even know what they're talking about. So get some trusted advisors on your team. Get a board of advisors. Like Shaq said, he has a board of advisors. I don't have a specific board of advisors, but I got people who I can go to and ask them, what do you think about this in specific areas? And I know they're going to tell me the truth. And I trust that they know what they're talking about. I can't just go off somebody on Instagram because I don't even know people. So I have no idea who these people are who are talking. Lady Stino, what's going on? Saleh says, what's your IQ and EQ score? What do you think is more important? I don't know my score on either one. What do I think is more important? Neither one. Because I don't even know my score. So obviously I don't find them that important. Let's see. Anthony says, how important do you think mental fitness is in the game of basketball? Mental fitness? I guess you mean like mental toughness or just your mindset approach. I'm assuming that's what you mean. I think it's very important because when you get to a certain level, I don't know what level you play at, but when you get to the professional level, everybody has talent. So physical ability is not going to get you far once you get to the pros. Once you get to the pros, physical ability is not the differentiator. Once you get there, everybody has talent. Some might have a little bit more than others, but it's really the way you approach the game mentally that determines what you do once you get to a level where everybody's good. So it's very important depending on the level that you're at. Now in high school or college, if you're very talented, you could be mentally not there and still be one of the best just because you're better than everybody. But in the pros, that won't happen. Mark says, if you have multiple interests and skills to offer, how do you narrow it down? You don't have to. This is a good question, Mark. And it's something I'll probably talk about in the group coaching when I start the group coaching. But the thing is, I mean, you look at myself. I played basketball professionally, so I have like 4 different audiences. I got an audience of people who play ball and want to get basketball skill. So I have basketball skill programs that I sell, like dribbling, shooting, working on your abs, getting in shape, strength training. That's one audience. Another audience is basketball players who want to play professionally. They already have the skill down, or at least they think they do. They want to learn how to get into the pro game. which is more of a business thing than it is a playing thing. That's the second audience. That's why I wrote the Overseas Basketball Blueprint. This one I got Hoop Handbook. I got programs for that. I got like 200 programs of Hoop Handbook. Overseas Basketball Blueprint. That's for the overseas players. Then I got people who want to do things similar to what I'm doing, like building a brand, branding yourself, putting content out there, doing live streams like I'm doing right now, coaching, consulting, speaking, things like that, writing books. People who want to do those things. When I do my group coaching, that's the first audience that I'm going to be serving, because I see that's the audience that most needs my attention right now. So that's my third audience, are the business people, the brand builders, entrepreneurs, freelancers. So that's the third audience. The fourth audience is when I'm actually out there writing the books and doing the speaking gigs and doing the coaching and consulting. A lot of the people that I coach or consult or speak to as a professional speaker, they're not trying to do what I'm doing. They're already doing their thing, but they want my knowledge, they want my experience, they want my expertise. So that's the fourth audience. So I got 4 different audiences. I didn't narrow it down. I said I can deliver to all of these audiences in a particular way that other people in that field can't. So I deliver to all those audiences. So you don't have to narrow it down. You probably have a different situation than I have, but you don't necessarily have to narrow it down. You just have to segment those audiences. I know when I'm talking to the basketball players, when I'm talking to the overseas guys, I'm talking to the brand builders, I'm talking to the business professionals. So I'm talking to different people at different times. That's a good question though. I am Manaroy. I don't know how you say that. I had a chance to try out for a semi-pro soccer team 6 years ago. I got invited. Should I not go because I didn't go 6 years ago? Well, you're going to have to figure that out on your own. I have no idea why you didn't or what you're doing the last 6 years. You only have to tell me. You just decide. All right, either go or don't go, but make a decision. K Baller says, am I going to put this on YouTube? Yes. He says, one thing I always wanted to ask was, how do you have 100-something subscribers and YouTube, but people missing out on your knowledge? That's because on 100,000-something subscribers on YouTube. That's because a lot of those came from basketball videos, and I don't talk about basketball anymore. So a lot of people came to me through basketball, and if I'm not talking basketball, some people just aren't interested in that. But what's more important is the number of subscribers I got on my email list, not my YouTube channel, not my Instagram, not my, what's the other one, Facebook, what's Twitter. What's most important is how many subscribers on my email list. That's the most important list you got. All right, not your YouTube subscribers, not your Instagram followers. Most important list is the email list. Always has been, always will be. For business owners. Now, if you want to be a YouTuber, then that's a different conversation. Pronounce my last name is Rambout. All right, I got you. Anthony Rambout, I got you. And he says, yeah, I meant like your mental approach, mental toughness and all, because right now I'm playing college ball. My aspiration is to play pro, but there's obviously levels to this shit. Yeah, so you need levels on both. You need skill and mental. You need both. So if you're playing in college, you want to play in the pros, you're going to need more skills and you're going to need more mindset. You need both. So go to hoophandbook.com for the skill stuff and go to workonmygame.com for the mental stuff. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, that comes at a cost. You in college. When I was in college, I couldn't have afforded me. So I say go to hoophandbook.com, workonmygame.com for that. Saleh says, do all the greats work overnight? I don't even know what you mean. I think most people sleep overnight. Most human beings go to sleep at night. All right. So we're going to wrap it up on that. We went almost exactly an hour. So thank you, everybody, for your time and attention. Again, stay tuned. If you're not on my email list, go to workonmygame.com. And actually, Instagram just told me I got 2 minutes left. They're going to shut off my live. You can only go for an hour and they shut it off. So this is perfect timing. Workonmygame.com. Let me give you that link. This is where you get on my email list. If you are not getting my emails every day, I send out emails every day. If you are not getting them, go to workonmygame.com. I just posted that link. That's where you can get on my list. When I put out my group coaching offer, you'll get it. Everything else that I offer, you'll know about it if you're on my email list. If you're not on the list, you're going to miss out on everything that I'm putting out because I don't announce everything on Instagram. So that's that. I don't think I need to say nothing else. And Simon says, what do you think about college and business? I already answered that question. And that's that. Everybody, have a great day. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Go to work on my game. Get on my list.